What's up, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Between the Cons. My name is Chris. I am your fearless leader, and with me today, the Wonder Twins.
Hey, it's Wacky Dave's podcast! We're gonna have some fun, kids!
So, the Wonder Twins are making fun of me right now, because this is take two of starting the podcast, because just a second ago, my voice did this weird, like, when I went, "What's up, everybody?" And it was bad, so we started over. And then you managed to get it out of me on the show anyways. So
exactly.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Matt.
I mean, we would gladly have Wacky Dave and his used car lot.
Yeah.
He probably has one, at any time on our podcast.
You know, Wacky Dave and his used car lot.
He is our only sponsor. We got to give it to him.
We are not sponsored by Wacky Dave's used car lot emporium.
I thought we were sponsored by Casa Bonita, though.
Okay, first of all, it's Casa.
Casas.
And secondly, just because I work there doesn't mean that we're sponsored by them.
Okay.
Disclaimer, I do not work at Casa Bonita. And I do not want to work at Casa Bonita unless it's as a cliff diver for one dive. Like, that's it. Anyways, let's talk about like this actual stuff that we came here to talk about. Before we get into the pineapple episode, we're going to give you guys some nerdy news here shortly. But first, make sure you're following us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Between the Cons. We publish all sorts of stuff throughout the week on those places, and you want to be a part of that. It's a good time. And a lot of times we'll actually fight with each other in the comments, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's good times and great oldies.
Yeah. That.
Cool 104.3.
I don't know what that was in reference to, but
but it is a really fun time. Like, I mean, there's a lot of good discussion, and it's a lot of fun to keep up with all the greatest and latest nerdy news in between podcast episodes. So it's a good thing to follow the social media accounts.
True that. Also, if you haven't already, leave a review on the show, on the podcast app. We are every other podcast you've ever listened to right now, asking you to leave a review. But it is important. It is a big deal. So please do that if you haven't already. But like I said, like the Copeland said, we are going to be talking about some nerdy news, hit some headlines for you. We've got 12 topics in today's Topic Thunder, which is a lot of alliteration. So
you did a good job with that. Your English teachers in Sylacauga would be proud.
Yeah, Tanya Ingram. Yeah, she did. Great.
Tanyer.
Yeah, Tanyer. Oh man, don't even get me started on my English teachers in high school. Now I'm all frazzled and off topic, but we're going to talk about some news. So stick around. I'm going to collect myself. We'll be right back.
We're going to have a pineapple situation. What should I do? Pineapple. The word that cannot be spoken. Pineapple.
Just want to say pineapple. If
Pineapples are fun. My dad used to
Pineapple.
throw them at me.
Pineapple.
Seriously? Wow.
Hey guys, it's that time of year again. And guess what time of year it is? Ask me what time of year it is.
Almost St. Patrick's Day?
Well, that's true.
Leif Erikson Day.
Spring break.
Well, sure. It's all those things. But it's like the most important time of year ever. It's when the Rifftrax
Pre-Christmas.
kicks. Oh, true. It's that too, probably. It's all these things combined. It was
Easter.
Almost,
It's Easter.
Yeah, it's all those things, and it's even like the Rifftrax Kickstarter time.
Oh, that.
Yeah, that most marvelous time of year.
It is exciting. It is very exciting.
It is much doggo. It's something, and you always think about it during this time of year. If you keep up with Mystery Science Theater 3000 or Rifftrax, you're always like, now when does that start? Well, we just got the email today. It just started today.
Right after Valentine's Day. That's when.
basically when people are the poorest. Well, no, I mean like people. I mean like
People that are
like
watching.
us.
Hold on, time out. People that are watching Rifftrax do not become poor after Valentine's Day.
This is true.
If you know what I'm saying.
I know. Are you saying that people who watch Rifftrax don't get dates? Because
Yes.
sometimes you're right about this.
I mean, if one were to draw up statistics, it would be more likely than not, I think. But in fairness, like every guy on this show watches Rifftrax, so I think that's an unfair statistic in current company.
It is. It's fake news.
Yeah,
Hashtag fake news.
So it started actually February 20th, and basically they're only doing 2 movies this time go round, which is
This time
unusual.
go round.
Yeah, this time go round. My English is great today. But this time go round, they do 2 movies. They're
Thanks,
doing
Tarzan.
I know, you're welcome. Me want Jane. But they're doing Space Mutiny, which, of course, as you guys know, is one of the most famous Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes.
Right.
And they're doing that in June in Nashville. And they're also doing a movie called Cruel, which I've never seen Cruel. I did know it existed.
Krull.
Yeah, Krull.
Is it pronounced Krull?
It may be Krull. That's a good question. Have you heard of this film?
No, but the Krull, that's a... No, it's not. That's the Skrull. The Kree-Skrull War.
Okay.
It's a Marvel thing. Never mind. It might be Krull, though. I'm going to guess at Krull because that sounds more sci-fi than cruel spelled weird.
Yeah, this is true. The weird spellings didn't really start till the 90s, really.
Yeah, and that was just putting Z's on everything.
It was limousine. But in those instances, they're just doing the 2 films. They're very sci-fi centric. It should be a good time. I think their Kickstarter goals also a little bit less this time. I didn't check what it was last year, but this year they're only going for $250,000, which would be more than enough for the rights to these 2 gems. I feel like, quote unquote. But they should reach that goal at the rate they're going. They should have that goal by the end of the week, literally. So after that, I'm sure they'll announce some good, additional goals after that.
Stretch goals.
Stretch goals. Thank you. That they should be announcing. So keep your eye on that. Rifftrax Kickstarter. Go to kickstarter.com/Rifftrax. I believe that's the address. It should be the address. But just check it out and go support them if you feel led to. Pineapple.
So I don't know if we've talked about this before. I know I've read it before, but I read it again today, so I'm going to bring it up today. Activision is making a Call of Duty movie.
Oh, wow.
Stefano Sollima, from who directed Sicario 2, is going to be directing it. And he stated that he wants Chris Pine and Tom Hardy to star in it.
Wow.
Which
That's
I am
intense.
super on board for.
Yeah, that's pretty much Call of Duty, like, maximum casting potential there.
Yeah, and there's a character in the Call of Duty games named Soap McTavish.
Mm-hmm.
And I can 1000% see Tom Hardy crushing that role.
Yeah, that would really make a lot of sense.
I am one of the few people that plays the Call of Duty campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember a Call of Duty before there was online multiplayer.
Yeah.
Forrest played with 13-year-olds talking about your mom.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the campaigns were actually like hours and hours of gameplay, and they were really good. So I still like hope for the day that those campaigns are going to be worth it again. But I still play the campaigns. But the most interesting part about this is the movie that is coming out, this particular movie that we're talking about, is expected to launch a Call of Duty universe.
Wow.
Which is kind of hilarious to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Call of Duty universe is just war movies.
Well, did you get any research as to what studio's doing it?
I did not, actually.
Like, I'm curious about this because Universal's really tracking heavy on the whole video game movie side of things from time to time. And so I would not be shocked if Universal was involved in some way. But I don't really know, honestly, to tell you the truth. That would be interesting to find out. But those are two very manly stars to go for a Call of Duty movie. Obviously, Vin Diesel and The Rock weren't available for some reason because they apparently would have to be in every movie of this genre. But I guess
and they also have some beef. I mean, they hugged it out on Twitter, but I mean, they still have some beef.
I mean, they're basically like the male version of the Kardashians in terms of, Twitter feuding, so...
Yeah, and I actually can't, I just looked it up, and I don't see anything that actually states the studio that's doing it. But this one did call out a really interesting point. It would be really cool if they actually got some Call of Duty voice actors, because there are some pretty impressive names on that list. Tom Hardy and Chris Pine aren't actually voice actors for the video games, but Gary Oldman, Ed Harris, Michael Keaton, and Idris Elba all are.
Wow.
So it would be, there's a very impressive list of actors who have done Call of Duty voiceover work.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be really cool if that happened. I would really like to see Soap McTavish played by Tom Hardy. And that's pretty much all I got. There's no release date or anything. I mean, it's still very, very early. Neither Tom Hardy or Chris Pine are actually in talks to play. It was just Stefano Sollima said that's who he would like to star in it. But I'm all for it. Let's do it. Pineapple.
So, the Mobile World Congress is February 26th through March 1st, and according to CNET, the Samsung Galaxy S9 is the sole headliner of the conference. So essentially, this whole thing is basically going to revolve around the Galaxy S9.
And that's granted, that's an opinion from CNET on that. I mean, there are going to be other phones released there, but everybody is absolutely oogling, the S9 about this thing. And I was tempted to put out some of the rumors, but I'd hate to release rumors and then be totally false about it. But we'll know a lot about the S9 next week at the Congress.
The headliner is such a subjective term.
Yeah.
Because there could be 5 brand new phones that get announced at
exactly.
in the big Hall H of Mobile World Congress. And they just Samsung Galaxy S9, it's in a long line. It's the next new phone in a long line of good phones except for the 7. And I mean, Sony's releasing a new Xperia phone, but name 2 people that you've ever seen with a Sony Xperia phone.
Jake Smith
and Hunter Wisely. I think those are the only 2, and they both are friends in Illinois. So they breathe the same air, basically.
They breathe the same air.
Yes, when it comes to Sony, they breathe that stuff.
But those are the only 2.
Those are the only 2 I know. And so I don't know that people.
I should have gone with a higher number.
You should have. But I mean, I don't think I did, Sony did tweet about it. They did a teaser for it this week about that phone coming out, their potential release of it. LG, I'm glad you mentioned that about other phones, because LG's also doing, there's announcements. Maybe perhaps announcing a new version of the V30. We'll see if they do that.
And then, like, another big thing is, the FBI recently put out a bulletin telling people not to purchase from Chinese phone manufacturers because of the risks of, spying and privacy breaches and those sort of things. So companies like Huawei and ZTE are Chinese phone manufacturers. So it'll be interesting to see what these companies announce in the midst of this kind of ongoing issue with the FBI, this warning there. So, but look out for a lot of news in the next week or so, next couple of weeks in the mobile market. Pineapple.
Chris Evans, other handsome white Chris man. Chris Pine, Chris the fearless leader, Chris Evans. Chris Evans might have just accidentally confirmed a Black Widow movie for Sherzies.
Oh, wow.
So there's been a lot of talks, a lot of rumors coming out of the old rumor mill of a future Black Widow standalone movie, especially with the Captain Marvel movie coming out. But Chris Evans was talking with E.T. Canada about the success of Black Panther and his excitement for it, and he said there's nothing that Marvel can't do. I'm sure it's going to have the exact same effect when Captain Marvel comes out, and then the Black Widow movie.
Oh my gosh.
And then when the Black Widow movie comes out, Marvel just has the winning recipe, and they're kind of one step ahead of everybody else. There is nothing that Marvel can't do. So watching the interview, it was like really quick. Almost like he spoke. If he did realize what he said and he wasn't supposed to say it, like he very easily could have spoke before he thought about what he was saying. But it adds more fuel to the fire of the rumors that have been swirling around the Black Widow solo movie. There's been no official announcement from Marvel Studios. However, it's somehow rumored to release in 2020, which the current release schedule for Marvel Studios only goes to 2019, and the end of Avengers: Infinity War, when Part 2 comes out. So it very well could be coming soon. We just have no confirmation, except for maybe Chris Evans, old Stevie Raj, Captain America, dropping some truth bombs on Entertainment Tonight Canada.
I must say, whenever I've read E.T. Canada versus American Entertainment Tonight articles, I tend to like the E.T. Canada articles better.
Is it because they don't talk about Kim Kardashian?
Probably so. I would say so. So I must give props for E.T. Canada actually doing substance in this case. Somehow inadvertently getting a scoop about something relevant on Between the Cons.
Yeah, you did it, E.T. Canada. Way to go.
We're going to Pineapple. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I was going to say it. But I'm glad that you sung it instead.
Well, say it though. I like it when
Pineapple.
you say it. According to The Verge, as of February 19th, Apple finally released an iOS update. I know y'all are shocked that Apple updates stuff. Like, I know they never release an update. I know we never get phones that update, that after they update magically have passcodes on them. No, that never happens with Apple.
Or when they update certain emojis or strings of letters turn into weird characters.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Never happens with Apple, but they've released yet another iOS update, this time to address an issue where typing a certain Indian language character would crash an iPhone and then cause iMessage, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, and Safari, in some cases, to become inaccessible.
That is so crazy.
Like, I wonder, of course, I'm not very well versed in the Indian language, but you would wonder why one character would cause this big of a glitch. Like, who in Apple's Indian division did not put in that one character? Like, who done it. But just think that one character could be sent to anybody's phone and crash the phone is wild. The crazy thing is it affected, as I said, it affected Safari, but it also affected Mac OS, Apple TV, and Apple Watch.
Oh my gosh! So it was all the things.
Like, that one character basically did more damage to Apple than anything the past 10 years has.
That's amazing.
It's pretty wild, to say the least. But they did fix it February 19th. So we'll see what new strange typed character will crash the phone next. And we'll just keep our eyes and ears open. Would you like to sing the next Pineapple Point, Chris?
No, I would not. Thank you.
You would not? Okay. Well, that's okay. I was giving you an opportunity since I stole yours last time. Well, we'll just go with it, and I'll just say pineapple.
Thank you for the opportunity, though. I do appreciate it.
You're welcome. I don't like theft.
So Rocket League is teaming up with Hot Wheels to release a tabletop game.
Wow.
Which is the most confusing statement I have made this year. So it's so weird. It's a remote controlled cars and a Rocket League like board. Like it's like the field from Rocket League, but it's a board and there's a tiny little soccer ball that you knock around with your remote controlled Hot Wheel to score points, just like in the game Rocket League, but it's a board game. There are a couple things. So there are two cars ramming soccer ball. I said that. The cars are controlled via Bluetooth from your phone or tablet. There's a built-in scoreboard on the game board that will be like it'll automatically keep score based on an infrared sensor inside of the ball. So anytime the ball goes into the goal, like it automatically marks a point.
Oh, wow. Dang.
It will also include sound effects from Rocket League to
that's really interesting.
to really give it the genuine experience. This is super weird to me, and I don't like it. I've played Rocket League. I am by no means good at it. I like Hot Wheels. I like tabletop games. I do not like remote-controlled things via Bluetooth on your phone because there is a huge latency issue with response.
Oh, that is a good point.
And if you're going to pin me against a friend to play a board game based on bad latency Bluetooth remote-controlled car situation, we going to have some problems.
Yeah, that's going to get irritating.
It sounds like Crossfire, except without the cool crossfire. You get caught up in the crossfire.
That's basically exactly what it is.
I mean, it is. I mean, except you're not having to shoot like 25,000 metal balls that you lose everywhere. So, I mean, it's like... I mean, see, I could get...
I wish they would put, like, little miniature remotes in the Rocket League kit as opposed to making you control it via Bluetooth. Like, it'd be so cool. I feel like the kids would like it better, personally.
Well, I like the option. I like the option of being able to do it Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Because it makes it a little easier to travel.
Well, that's true.
But, like, I just don't... Unless, like, Hot Wheels has cracked the code for Bluetooth remote-controlled car situation, then I'm not into it.
Yeah, that's going to be the question mark on it. I think it'll be a neat collector's item if people are really into Rocket League.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to let Chris 2 buy it and let us know how it is.
Good deal.
Yeah. Pineapple.
So, according to Nintendo Life, Nintendo has announced changes to the Nintendo Creators Program on YouTube. So, for those that are unfamiliar, essentially, for YouTubers that wanted to make ad revenue off of Nintendo-based videos, you would have to sign up for the Nintendo Creators Program, where basically Nintendo got a cut of your ad revenue for Nintendo-based videos. But Nintendo just announced changes for this program, and they're pretty drastic. So essentially, in order to essentially it comes as a result of the changes to the YouTube Partners Program, where YouTube Partners Program changed the amount of watch hours and the amount of subscribers and everything in order to have your videos monetized and to get ad revenue from them. So it's been really controversial. It's seen as hurting a lot of your smaller creators on YouTube. Nintendo has followed suit by saying that people that desire to monetize videos with Nintendo intellectual property, they have to have at least 4,000 hours of watch time within the past 12 months and 1,000 subscribers. So that's a huge, daunting task. Maybe not 1,000 subscribers is a big barrier for any startup YouTuber, but the 4,000 watch hours is like is a big hurdle.
Yeah, and this is a huge one. So I actually have a couple buddies, a former roommate and a guy that went to college with us that do a video game podcast. It's a video cast called Awesome Platonic Love Games. So Trevor Bennett and Christian Mott do it, and I mean they're hilarious guys. They play through games. They goof off, and they made they were sustained by ad revenue on YouTube until this change.
Oh my gosh!
And Trevor actually posted a video that they released a new I believe they released a new episode the same day that this went live, and they were able to gain 4 cents in ad revenue off of it before it was taken down.
Wow.
Before the ad revenue was removed,
demonetized.
Thank you, demonetized. So quick plug throwing in right now, because they do they played through Death of the Wild. Whoa.
Well, that's happened to a lot of people. It is Death of the Wild for many people.
Yeah. They played through Breath of the Wild. They played through a handful of games on the Switch when it first came out. I know Trevor just got a new 3DS just recently to stream some games, and it's really put a damper on everything because, I mean, for us, we don't have monetization the same way that it's available on YouTube. And I know for a video podcast, that's a huge deal. And I mean, just a quick plug, if you're into that sort of thing, definitely check out Awesome Platonic Love Games. They're on Facebook. You can find them on YouTube. It's a really funny show, and I think you'd like it. You guys would definitely like it. I know that much.
What do you check it out?
We love YouTube.
I mean, it's just sad, and that's one anecdote of many. Like, you just look at the swarms of YouTubers and other people that are being hit by these changes, and now Nintendo kills smaller creators along with YouTube.
Right.
And currently it's like the way it works right now is that video creators that sign up for the Nintendo Creators Program receive a percentage of the advertising proceeds, 70% for channels as a whole, and 60% for videos. For any registered YouTube channels or videos containing Nintendo copyrighted content. So essentially, this is not going to help Nintendo. It's going to hurt them. Like, Nintendo has already they've started to get back on people's good side with the Switch. And there's been so many people making videos of things from Breath of the Wild or Super Mario Odyssey. So there's been a real resurgence in Nintendo on YouTube. And this is not going to help them. Like, that's our opinion. It's not going to help them. It's only going to hurt them. It's going to discourage people from making fun, viral videos.
Well, I'll tell you this. Yeah. They've got to make up revenue from the Wii U somehow.
Yeah, you're right.
Considering the Switch has already outsold the lifetime sales of the Wii U in its first year versus the 4 years of Wii U, like they're I mean the adage is true. It prints money. Yeah, but Nintendo YouTube quit screwing up with small creators. Pineapple.
Kevin Feige, the head of Marvel Studios, recently addressed the leaked Captain Marvel photos. We talked about these.
Yeah.
We talked about these. Man, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago when they first dropped the black and green Captain Marvel suit. He said, if you want to film out in public and Captain Marvel has a lot of scenes that will be shot on location, it's going to happen. Everything is filmed by paparazzi nowadays. So years ago, we decided if it's going to happen, let it happen. Most people are savvy enough to know what they're looking at, to know they're looking at a behind the scenes photo completely out of context. So we don't do things like rush photos. We released some concept art with her different colors. People online have already correctly identified what's going on there. So it does sound like, since the majority of the online presence have identified it as an early version of her suit, it kind of seems like Kevin, without saying it, is pointing out that that's exactly what's going on. It's the green and black is a early version of Captain Marvel's suit. So you guys can rest your little hearts about speculating what she's doing in green. Really,
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up just because for me, it was the suit is green. It could mean it's an early version of the suit, or it could mean that they're doing some color correction in post. So I wanted to bring that up in case anybody was riding along my bandwagon of color correction in post to go ahead and shut that down.
Or it could actually be the Green Lantern sequel none of us wanted.
Pineapple. I'm just going to stop that one before it gets out of hand.
Well, we do have another Samsung-centric announcement, which is really weird that there's so much Samsung news.
They're
in
so
one week.
relevant.
They are.
Samsung is so hot right now.
They
So hot right
are.
now.
They are. On February 20th, actually, they announced the start of production of their 30.72 terabyte solid state drive.
That is nuts.
Yes, the PM1643. And mind you, like just last year, people like one of the companies, I forget which company it was, it might have been Seagate, was boasting about a 10 terabyte to 16 terabyte helium state drive. And Samsung just comes out and says, well, look at this. It's a solid state 30 terabyte
we got you beat.
drive. I mean, like twice the storage from last year. Like, it literally means that if you could, on this drive, you could potentially store 5,700 5 gig full HD movies within a 2.5 inch hard drive.
So let's go ahead and say this really quick.
Sure.
5 gigabytes for a 1080p HD movie file is like pretty high.
Yeah.
Like you're talking for like a full HD, you're talking like 3.5 is like your standard 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
So 5 gigabytes, like that is a very generously low number. 5,700. But on a 2.5 inch storage device that is a freaking flash drive.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I mean, like, for comparison's sake, like, this is totally just came off the top of my head. But, like, the entire, like, I think last year's tax information for tax returns that the IRS collected only takes up 15 terabytes of space. And so you think about this, like, this one drive could hold the entirety of U.S. taxpayer information.
For 2 years.
And not be felt, basically, it's incredible the amount of storage on the thing. its read and write speeds are 3 to 4 times the read and write speeds of current solid state drives.
Man, I'm looking at those numbers and I am getting excited.
Yeah, like Crucial's current generation drives, which we've ordered and they're really nice, only get about 530 roughly in terms of, MBs.
Megabytes per second. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Read, write roughly. And so just to think that these are 4 times that.
Yeah, 2100 and 1700 megabytes per second for read and write. That is bonkers.
And, the major thing with solid state that's kept it still a little bit out of relevancy is reliability. Because when you lose a solid state drive, it's gone. Like, there's not much you can do at that point.
You can't read the tape.
No, you cannot. You cannot. So this is something they really emphasized in their press release on this. Samsung did. They said the solid state drive provides a robust endurance level of 1 full drive write per day.
That is nuts.
Yes, they're basically saying with that statement that you could write 30 terabytes of data every drive during the 5-year warranty period without failure.
Every day for 5 years. Yeah.
Yes. And basically, there's a certain thing in hard drives called mean time between failures. And they're saying that the drive could potentially go, on average, 2 million hours between failures.
And in days, that is, oh my gosh, that is 83,333 days.
That's nuts.
Wow. Dang.
The computer would wear out before the hard drive.
Yeah. From that estimate, and that's pretty much on par with standard hard drives these days. Like some of your enterprise level hard drives get 2 million hours. And so that reliability, they are really banking this thing's going to be reliable. And so maybe those of us that have not been totally sold on solid state due to reliability, this may sell some minds on it. They didn't release a price, I don't think, but we'll see how many arms and legs it takes.
Oh my gosh, that's before we pineapple. That's
go for it.
228.3 years between failures.
Wow, they are really staking a claim.
They
on
are
this.
confident.
They are beyond confident on this.
For my next point, we got a brand new trailer for Marvel's Jessica Jones coming to Netflix in March. Jessica Jones is personally my favorite of the Marvel Netflix universe, which is what we call it here on Between the Cons, the MNU. It is my favorite show. I have been waiting anxiously for season 2. The first season had David Tennant as the Purple Man. It was very much a psychological thriller. Mr. Naughty List actually could not finish Jessica Jones season 1. I think he has finished it now, but for at least a year, he couldn't finish it because of how heavy it weighed on him. Because it is a very, very stressful show, and it takes you on a pretty intense journey. And that came out in late 2015. So we've been going 2.5 years before we're getting our next series of Jessica Jones, our next season of Jessica Jones. But the episode or the trailer is really awesome. It starts out with Jessica Jones like standing in her anger management class, like the circle of folding chairs. And she's bouncing a ball up against the wall while she's talking about like all this terrible stuff that's happened to her in her life. And she gets like so emotional that she starts throwing it really hard, and she actually knocks like a chunk out of the wall with like a tennis ball. It's kind of funny. But it shows a lot of footage from season 1 and season 2. The trailer, just like season 1, is super heavy, super heavy, super dark. I am so pumped for this new season. This is a show that I will probably not be watching with Michael Ann because she, similarly to Mr. Naughty List, has a pretty hard time with like the really heavy shows. But I am so pumped for this new season. It's coming out on March 8th. If you have not watched the new trailer, go do that. It is pretty intense, and hopefully it gets you excited. If you haven't seen the first season of Jessica Jones, go watch it. Like I said, it is my personal favorite. It is very good. And then keep your eyes peeled March 8th on Netflix for season 2 of Jessica Jones. Pineapple.
Okay, so we're pretty much like in the great smart speaker race here in the past 2 years. So we've got Amazon Alexa, we've got Google, we've got Apple more recently with their speaker.
The
and
HomePod.
now
Yes.
Exactly. And now we have Spotify late to the race, but nevertheless, they want in on the hardware game. So this isn't rumor per se. It delves a little bit into rumor, but it's in fact that Spotify, just according to Ars Technica, started posting a lot of job listings needing people to help with hardware. So essentially they need people. It suggests that they're close to launching one or more connected hardware products. They're listing jobs for project managers for connected hardware. Essentially just basically managing things like...
there's basically a job title that's listed: project manager, hardware production and engineering.
Yeah. And essentially, whatever it says connected hardware, people seem to be thinking that it's meaning, like a smart speaker. Or,
Right.
It could also be like a smartwatch or headphones or, a lot of different odds and ends, but basically something hardware related that Spotify wants its name on.
Yeah, and I'll say this. Spotify has been super adamant about not playing nice with Apple. Because Spotify, once Spotify finally started getting like some serious groundswell in the streaming music arena, Apple decided to release Apple Music. I believe that Spotify still is edging out Apple Music as far as subscriptions. But because of that, they just do not play nice. As a Spotify premium subscriber and a Apple fanboy, this hurts every piece of my heart because everything that I own, with the exception of my computer and my iOS devices, so my Apple Watch, my Apple TV, we actually have an Apple TV in the bedroom and in the living room. We can't play Spotify on them unless we're streaming from our phone via AirPlay. However, my wife has an Android phone, so I'm the only one that can stream via AirPlay. So it's super obnoxious, but it makes sense that it could be a smartwatch because Spotify, despite the Apple Watch being around as long as it has been, Spotify still has not released a complication, which a complication is basically an app for, or it's like when you play Spotify on your phone, your watch automatically shows like the Spotify complication, and it's like Spotify specific controls. But Spotify doesn't have that. I use Overcast to play podcasts, and Overcast has a complication. So whenever I'm listening to one of my podcasts, it comes up and it gives me the Overcast controls, which is really nice. And I hate that Spotify doesn't have it, because if I want to change to a different playlist and my phone's on the other side of the room, then I walk over to my phone instead of like boop, boop, beep, boop on my watch and play a new playlist. But same thing with the Apple TV. If I want to listen to, if Michael Ann wants to listen to Spotify while she's like doing like housework, like working around the house, doing chores or whatever, and I'm not home, then she actually has to use the Xbox to pull up my Spotify, not her Spotify, to be able to stream, because they have an Xbox app, but they don't have an Apple TV app, which to me seems kind of silly because it would use a lot of the same functionality.
Yeah, exactly.
But basically, it kind of seems like they're just kind of holding out because they don't want to play nice with Apple because it's their biggest competition, and that makes total sense.
Well, why in the world, like, I feel like this is a Shark Tank question, but why in the world would you want to get into hardware production when you could just license the Spotify name and do the same thing? Like, why not license it to Samsung?
Because if your stuff is only available on your hardware, you're going to get people to buy your hardware.
That's true, yeah. Mm-hmm. If people are that diehard about your product, that does make sense.
Like, Spotify, in my opinion, has a much sleeker UI than Apple Music. Apple Music has a very, hipster. I hate to say hipster, but it has a super hipster UI, and it
confuses me.
I don't like it. It does not make good sense. And Spotify's UI is excellent. And that's my own opinion, and you can judge me if you want. You can tell me that I'm wrong, but I'm going to ignore you because
Spotify is like
opinion.
An amazing experience. It's easy to find music you want to listen to. It's easy to add it to playlists. It's easy to add whole albums or just singles. I mean, it's all encompassing. I mean, it's amazing. Like they did an excellent job.
And Apple Music, at least on any iOS version, any iOS device, like I've always had a confusing time, and people are going to think I'm really dumb, but I've had such a confusing time dealing with the fact that my music library is separate from my purchases. Like, if I'm trying to describe to somebody, okay, well, here's where you go to purchase music, but it may not show up in here until you download it, and then here's Apple Radio, but it's different than your music, and it's like a weird Frankenstein experience.
Well, and when Apple Music was first released, I was fully prepared to make the change because I have an iPhone, I have an iMac, I have an iPad, I have two Apple TVs, I have a lot of Apple products, so I was fully prepared to make the change. However, I am a playlist guy. I have multiple playlists that I listen to while I'm at work, and they're 4 and 5 hours long, and I'll just put one on and put it on shuffle and repeat, and I'll listen to the whole thing through once and maybe get a couple songs repeat after that. But being on and off the phone, I'll be lucky to make it all the way through one. But I like to have them that long for the days that I'm not on the phone as much. When Apple Music first came out, they had a limit of, I believe it was either 20 or 40 songs to a playlist.
That's dumb.
And this is so cheap, and I feel super guilty for admitting this out loud. But I actually opened Spotify on my computer, and I had Apple Music on my phone, and I was mimicking Spotify curated playlists in my own Apple Music app. And then I hit that limit. And when I hit that limit, I wasn't like, well, this sucks. Maybe they'll fix it. I immediately canceled my subscription to Apple Music, and I still had the free 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
But I canceled it anyways because I didn't care. If that's not something that they see as valuable up front, that's not a product I want.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, so I hope that maybe Spotify will find some success in this market. I also feel like Spotify, you don't want it to become just like an anomaly. You don't want it to be like Google Glass, some weird experiment that doesn't pan out. And you don't want Spotify's core business to get hurt by trying to venture into these unknown territories. So it'll be exciting to see where all this leads, exactly what form it will take, and we'll hope for the best. Pineapple.
So Black Panther came out this past weekend. We reviewed it. If you haven't listened to that episode, it came out on Monday. Episode 223, I think. 223, the Black Panther Roundtable review. I don't even know what episode number this is. That's sad. But But we reviewed it this weekend. It came out and it freaking crushed. And that's not me saying that just because I want to say that. That's me saying it because it did. It crushed so hard. And the records that it broke in its opening weekend. I have listed out all the records they've broken at the time of this recording, which is Tuesday. But we're going to run through those really quick because it is impressive. So the first one, the easiest one, it is the highest Rotten Tomatoes rated superhero movie ever.
Wow.
It's currently jumping back and forth between a 97 and a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. At the time of recording, it's 97. It had the highest pre-sales of any movie ever, meaning people buying tickets in advance.
And that was a weird statistic. Like, I mean, they were announcing that almost a month ago that it was the highest pre-sale. So I wish that, I wonder what you could compare it to, but that's what they've been saying. You're exactly right.
Yeah. I couldn't find a number for it. It doesn't look like it's something that's widely tracked. However, knowing the number of people that I'm friends with that saw it, that bought tickets in advance, I believe it. Because I had people that usually buy their tickets when they show up to the theater that were pre-ordering tickets. Thursday night previews. So the not opening night, but opening night. It is the second highest Marvel movie and the fourth highest superhero movie at $25.2 million domestically.
Wow.
In a single night. That's a night. Because on Thursdays, they do not do all day showings. It's only evening showings. So the movies that beat it out for the highest superhero movies, Dark Knight Rises, Avengers Age of Ultron, and Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice, which is hilarious. But it makes sense that BVS DOJ is on there because it also had a terrible opening weekend, and it's because it had such a high Thursday night preview, and those ratings went through the floor. $75.81 million on opening day.
That's unreal.
It is the highest non-team up superhero movie ever. It is the 8th highest of all time.
It's crazy.
It is the all-time February opening weekend record holder at $201.8 million.
That's like a summer number.
That is a summer blockbuster number for sure. It is the biggest opening weekend for an African American director. So Ryan Coogler was the director, sitting on that 201.8
and it's only
million.
his third movie.
Only his third movie. Yeah. And it's also it also holds the Monday box office record of all time at $40.176 million.
Wow.
It definitely helped that it was President's Day weekend and a lot of people didn't have work. So that's a big deal, but there are also that's taking other President's Day movie or President's Day weekend releases into consideration. So it is the record holder for Monday box office. Insane numbers for this movie and well deserved. Well deserved. Very good movie. Highest rated movie. Also holds this final record. The highest rated movie on Between the Cons.
And that's saying something. It holds a 9.7 on Between the Cons, the highest rated movie we've ever
sat around the old round table to discuss, and it was so hashtag worth it.
Wow.
So if you have not seen Black Panther, and I was going to say, and you want to, you should go do that. But if you haven't seen Black Panther just at all, whether you want to or not, go see it. Because even if you don't want to, once you watch it, you'll be so glad that you did. But that's it. Those are all the records. It is just, that movie is just crushing it right now. Make sure you listen to our review that came out on Monday with Chris 2, Mr. Naughty List, MF Dane, and our special guest, Princess Tiara, MF Dane's lady friend, Tara. She sounds like a Disney princess. It's pretty adorable. But check that show out. It's a good one. And yeah, Pineapple. And that is it for the show. We made it all the way through, coming in at just under an hour. Thank goodness.
Wow.
But make sure you follow us on the internet at Between the Cons on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Go to our website, betweenthecons.com. You can link out to all of our social media sites. You can stream the show online. You can find Afixa, who does our theme music, at betweenthecons.com/bandcamp. And then make sure you guys tune in on Monday, because we are going to be back. We're going to be talking about stuff, doing stuff on the show. I don't really know what we're going to do yet, but someone will be here to put words in your ear holes. Don't miss out. Subscribe to the show. Every Monday, every Thursday, we release content that you do not want to miss. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a great weekend. We will talk to you on Monday.
God bless us.
Did one of you just say Mardi Gras when I said my drink was topless?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.